What's going on, guys? Before we get into the video, if you're one of these 87% of people, they're not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, what are you doing? Go down below, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and hit that like button below so this video gets shared with other people. Now let's get straight into the video. What's going on, guys? We're back with a brand new video. In today's video, we'll be reacting to my prediction video about who I thought was going to go in the top 10. Just for a little debrief of what I did with these predictions, I did not predict anyone about like Ugelhagen or Braden Chappell, because I knew that they were already guaranteed to go to Sydney. So or Sydney and Bulldogs. So I just picked who I thought the clubs in the top 10 were going to pick. So yeah, so the last pick that I'll be going for would be the Giants, and starting at Adelaide of who they picked. Luckily, no one traded their picks, so who I said the player that they were going to pick, they actually kept their pick. So let's see who I thought was going to go number one. So for the number one pick in the 2020 draft, I've selected Riley Thilthorpe to be picked in the first pick by Adelaide. He might not be the best tall forward in this competition. Obviously, it's Jamarra Ugelhagen that everyone knows should be bidded on first by Adelaide. But I picked Riley Thilthorpe over Logan McDonald simply because this bloke comes from South Australia and he's not, like, they're pretty much an equal level, Logan McDonald and Riley Thilthorpe. So as you can see, I actually nailed this pick with Riley Thilthorpe. I knew that they were going to pick him over any other key forward simply because he's from South Australia. There's no real chance that he will leave because he won't get homesick or anything. So you can pick Logan McDonald as a risk, but there was no real point. This bloke is not too much worse, and he can pretty much just lead this team in the forward line once Tex retires. So let's get in who I predicted will be pick 2. With the second pick, North select Logan McDonald. This bloke is the Ben Brown replacement, and arguably this bloke could be so much better than Ben Brown because this bloke has endurance, and he came second in the Waffle senior team goal kicking for the whole competition with 21 goals, which was 3 behind Jamarra Ugelhagen kicked. So this bloke could go number 1 to Adelaide, but I think they will take the South Australian born. So I did get this one wrong. I was not expecting North to actually pick a midfielder because I thought they already had a lot of mids coming through, but I guess they did lose Sean Higgins. So bringing in Will Phillips can lead the next group of young midfielders with LDU and Jai Sinkham, and I could be missing someone else. But yeah, I would have picked Logan McDonald just because I feel like Nikolaki and Cam Zurhaar is actually going to get forced to play the big key unless they pick up someone later in the draft that's a key forward. So yeah, but on the bright side, they did actually give Brent Harvey's number 29 that's been retired since 2016 to Will Phillips, which is a great sign that they actually believe in this kid, and that's what I picked him at pick 2. So yeah, now let's go into my third prediction. Next up is Denver Granger Barras. He's a key defender from Western Australia, and his comparison is Dylan Grimes. He's on a 200 centimeter. He's 195 centimeter, 78 kg key defender. He's a bit skinny right now, but he'll build great with this with their young backline. They've got like Callum Mills, Dan Rampy, who's not as young, and Tom McCartan. That's their other key defender. But they really got thought out by big talls because they didn't have any key defenders. They had Dane Rampy playing on 200 centimeter blokes, and Dane Rampy is barely like 190. I don't even think he's 190. So this bloke can come in, probably play in the second tall, let Tom McCartan take the big tall, and he'll develop nicely with the Sydney team. I got this prediction wrong again, but it was simply because the Sydney Swans had actually fell to them. Like, they were not expecting Logan McDonald to be around this pick. Everyone pretty much thought that he was going to go to North because that was their need, but they picked Will Phillips because maybe someone else was going to pick him and they liked him more than Logan McDonald. But either way, they got their key forward and go along with Buddy Franklin for the future to build around, because they have like Sam Reid and Buddy Franklin, so it really does make sense. I still feel like they do have a bit of weakness in their backline with a lack of key defenders, especially after losing Alir, so that's why I really thought they were going to go after Barras. But Barras is not as good as Logan McDonald, so it only makes sense that Logan McDonald fell to Sydney. Yeah, so let's get into my next prediction. Next up, Hawthorn do select Elijah Hollins with their 4th pick. I actually could go number 1. Bloke will be perfect for Hawthorn. It'll be their first player they can build around that's in a young age. So yeah, this bloke will go great with James Warple in their midfield. when gets his endurance up, and yeah, that's who they select. Yeah, so I did end up getting this top 5 correct. I did get this pick wrong again though, which is not too great, but I did pick the top 5, so at least I got the players correct that were going to be in it. So yeah, they did end up picking Denver Granger Barras, which is a great pickup, because realistically they're just trying to build key defenders and key forwards for the future. They were really looking to take Logan McDonald, apparently that's who they were trying to get. But they did get Denver Granger Barras, which is not too bad because next year they can get another key forward. They're in the first stage of their rebuild, so they just need to get young players that they can build around, and this bloke definitely is it. So I did get this prediction wrong, but at least I got the top 5 right. Now let's get into the 6th pick. Coast do select with the 5th pick Will Phillips. This bloke is a hard edge midfielder, goes hard at the stoppage, is a great tackler for a position, so he's a two-way midfielder. He's very explosive out of stoppages. This bloke could be the best player in this draft. Okay, I did get this Will Phillips pick wrong, and on the last, when I was reviewing what I said in the prediction, I did say that was the top 5, but that was only the top 4. This bloke is in the top 5, and he did get picked at the 5th pick, which I cannot believe that he dropped to the 5th pick. When I was watching the draft, I was in shock that Gold Coast got this man. This is a perfect position where Gold Coast need to fill, is a mid-forward role. They would have Sam Flanders that can come in. I was talking to my mate about this, and I did not think that I'm just like, this is like the dream scenario for Gold Coast. Like, if Gold Coast had pick 1, this is the bloke that they'll be taking. And somehow he dropped to the 5th pick, and they've got Elijah Hollins. I cannot believe how people miss on this bloke. This bloke, he's like a Christian Petrarca, Dustin Martin type player. Hits the scoreboard, damaging with his disposal, absolute gun, he can push forward. So this bloke could be the best player in the draft, and Gold Coast arguably won the draft again, in my opinion. So now let's get into the 6th pick. Next up is Essendon, when they have these 3 picks in a row, when their first person they will select is Archie Perkins, who is kind of like a Josh Dunkley type. He's a forward that can actually push very well forward. Has played half forward most of his Vic Metro games. Okay, so I'm giving myself a tick here because it doesn't really matter who Essendon took in order for the 3, but they did take the 3 players that I had predicted in my video. They did take all 3. A few people said in the comments that they would not pick the 3 that I picked, but because they thought that Michael Hurley and all that were good enough to handle when they didn't need it, and they already have Aaron Francis, Zerk Thatcher and Ridley. But I did predict that they were going to take Archie Perkins and these other 2 blokes that are coming up next, so let's get straight into it, and I'm going to give myself a tick for these predictions. Next up, I've got Zach Reid, the 202 centimetre key defender. The only bad thing about this player is that he is only 83 kgs at 202 centimetres, so he's pretty much a twig, as you can see by this photo, but he might not play as many games in his first year simply because how skinny he is, and he'll probably get pushed around by like the big body key defenders, the key forwards in the comp. But he's a very skilled, he has great feet, almost like a Jack Lacosis type player. Very good kicking ability, great above the head, is a utility, he can push forward and back, and that's kind of what Essendon needs since they have a lack of key tools. Yeah, so I'm giving myself another tick for this one. I did pick Zach Reid simply because they had pretty much a lack of key tools. Well, not really a lack, but their key tools right now are Cale Hooker and Michael Hurley, which are both 30 plus. So bringing Zach Reid to develop with Zerk Thatcher, Aaron Francis and Ridley will be absolutely great. Not to speak of like Nick Hunt that they just bring in that's not too old. So their backline's looking very young. They can get broke through. Michael Hurley and Cale Hooker might not play as many games next year simply because they want to try to get games into Zach Reid. So yeah, I got another W with this. So I know he didn't get picked at this pick. He got picked with the last SM pick that they had, but still it was part of the 3 picks that they had in a row. So they could have picked random of what they wanted with the 3 because they were going to get him either way. The 8th pick of the draft for Essendon, they will select Nick Cox, who is a key forward defender. This bloke was projected to go nowhere near the top 20, but recently he's skyrocketed up the draft ranks. He's projected to go around Essendon's pick, and you don't see why Essendon will not take this man. He is a key defender / key forward. He can play both ends of the grounds at elite level. Great mark of the footy. Can kick goals. He's 200 centimeters, so Essendon could select two 200 centimeter players, which they've very lacked since Joe Danaher's barely played, and they don't really have an elite key forward. Yeah, so I did pick all Essendon's picks correct, which is really good by me, but even better by Essendon, because I feel like this is all, it fits all the needs they need, especially with like Joe Danaher leaving. They have Nick Cox, they'll mostly be playing as a forward with 2 meter Peter, which would be actually a great combo, because they both can play up the ground, even though Peter Wright loves going into the ruck, and Nick Cox loves like wandering up the ground. He's a big endurance runner, great pair of hands, it'll be great fit. So now let's go into the 9th pick. Next up at pick 9, I have gone for Tanner Brunnan, who is a 183 centimeter mid. And since they already picked Riley Thilthorpe as their key forward for the future, and their midfield right now with Brad Crouch leaving leaves open heaps of spots for improvement. So they already have Chase Jones that can kind of run into the midfield but plays a little bit more forward. They added Jackson Haitley that will play a lot of midfield this year. So I feel like if they added Tanner Brunnan, he'll probably play probably every game next year in the midfield, in the guts. So it'll be a great pickup. So I did kind of had the same idea as what Adelaide Works are going for like a mid-type player, but they chose to go for Luke Pell. I actually don't know how to say this guy's name, I'm sorry, but this bloke was meant to go around 25 to 10, so they took a risk on grabbing this guy early, and we don't know what will pay off. Not many people know too much about him. They know that he has X Factor, so it's kind of like a risk. They already know they have a guaranteed, they should have a guaranteed star in Riley Thilthorpe. So to go and take a risk on Luke Pelder, you don't really lose anything about going for this. So a good pick for the Adelaide, but I sadly got the prediction wrong. Up with pick 10, the Giants select Oliver Henry, the brother of Geelong player Jack Henry that plays, and this bloke is a forward unlike his brother, and he's a great high marking forward, has X factor. He could probably go into the midfield at some point in his career. He's 188 centimeters, a great marking target, and could kind of plays like Toby Green, so him and Toby Green the forward line. So I kind of missed the mark here because I picked Taylor Brunnan a pick earlier than this, and GWS ended up snapping him up, which was an absolute steal, I reckon. This bloke is compared to Taylor Adams, so a great get for GWS, but I really missed the mark on Oliver Henry. I think he ended up going like pick 15 to Collingwood, which he actually was predicted to go in the top 10 or a bit later, so it was a great get by Collingwood to get him at pick 15, a real steal. That I would say, but Taylor Brunnan, obviously, if he didn't get picked by Adelaide, which everyone thought he was going to get, he was going to drop 1 to GWS. So I did get his prediction wrong, but I did predict him going to the top 10 like he was. Yeah, so that's the video, guys. I actually really did enjoy making this video. I enjoy making predictions. There will be a 2021 season predictions coming out in the near future. I ended up only getting 4 out of 10 picks right, but I ended up picking 9 of the top 10 correct, and picking 5 of 5 of the players that were going to get selected in the top 10. So I did pick who was going to be in there, I just didn't pick what order or what teams they're going to. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to drop a like and a subscribe, comment on this video on what you thought of my predictions and who you predicted was going to do what. So thanks for watching, guys.